When I first came to college, I was having panic attacks every other day, some lasting more than an hour. I called my mom, sobbing. I didn't know what else I could do, but I couldn't deal with it any longer. She told me, "It's time," and my journey to well-being began there. This is my story. At the beginning of my junior year of high school, I tore my ACL for the second time. This was devastating. I had gone through recovery before, and I knew that I could do it again, but this time it was different. I would have to sit out for a year and a half. My motivation began to plummet, and the panic attacks started. At first, it was just a couple times a month, and I felt like I was just going through the motions to get through the days. My mom would mention therapy, but I pushed it off. I didn't think it was that bad. I started practicing again, and I believed that things would go back to normal. Rough patches come at us through life, and when I was injured, I just figured it was temporary and that I could get through it and go back to being normal. Unfortunately, it just wasn't the same, and something was definitely wrong. And when I came to Cornell, everything immediately got worse. I was experiencing more frequent panic attacks, my energy was gone, and my body ached constantly. When I realized that these feelings weren't going to go away by wishing, I made the call to my mom. I was reluctant to go to therapy at first, but after my first session where I was able to open up and tell the therapist about how I was feeling and about my panic attacks, it was as though this was the first time I felt my feelings were validated. There really was something affecting me. I began a course of prescription medication shortly after my first therapy session. After a few months, I couldn't feel it helping much, so I switched medications, and that crossover period was a living hell. I fell deeper into the bottomless hole I felt I was in. After the chemicals in my body began to settle down after the switch in medication, I began to feel an immediate difference. I continued therapy and medication, and I finally reached a point where I wasn't faking smiles any longer. It was liberating. I feel so lucky that I was able to reach that point in my life before it was too late. I'm genuinely happy most of the time now, and I enjoy having the energy to go to class. I think back on my freshman year, and I wonder how I was able to make it this far. Thankfully, I have an extremely supportive team and coaches that helped me through the entire process. I still get scared when I feel blue because I remember what life used to be like, and I'm nervous to fall into that deep depression again. But I know there is something greater out there for me, for all of us. So while there are days that go by where I'm not always 100%, I'm doing better now than I ever have before. You are not alone. If you're dealing with depression or anxiety, reach out to someone you trust for help. There is always someone willing to do anything for you to see the sunrise tomorrow. Don't bear it alone.